If you desire to walk in alignment with your purpose, to live a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment, you've come to the right place. This is Sarah Locke, and welcome to Purpose Unlocked. Hello, everyone. Today we're talking about social anxiety and how to better manage our relationships. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that everyone has at some point or another, and in certain situations, experienced social anxiety and that awkwardness that comes along with it. And the reason I'm so confident about that is because our brains are wired for survival. And we all experience that feeling of, I really want everybody to like me. I want to fit in, because at one point it was critical to fit in and be accepted in order to survive. And exclusion and isolation would have meant death. So of course we all experience those little anxiety-driven and awkward moments where we're thinking, oh, please don't be awkward, just fit in. Oh, I hope nobody judges me. So I think there's also this false belief that extroverts are somehow immune to this feeling, that people that are super outgoing and really friendly, they don't experience this at all. And I'm here to tell you that couldn't be further from the truth. As someone who identifies as someone who's pretty extroverted, I can tell you that I experience these feelings of social anxiety and awkwardness and worry all the time too. So I want to talk about the 3 most common times that I experience it, and then what I do to combat those feelings. First is the pending text message. We've all had a time where we know that we need to text someone. We haven't reached out to them in a long time. Maybe it's been a while. We just really need to reach out and check on them. And now it's been so long that it feels kind of awkward to do so. Or someone has reached out to you and asked you a question, and you really had to think about it, and how am I going to respond? And you're like, okay, well, I really need to give it some thought. So then you give it a day, and before you know it, 2 weeks have gone by, and you're like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to message that person back, and now I feel bad. And not only do I feel bad, but now I feel awkward being like, hey, remember that thing you asked me 2 weeks ago? I'm finally getting back to you on it. So if you're anything like me, this can induce a little bit of anxiety, especially because I don't want my friends to feel bad. I don't want people that I care about thinking that I don't care about reaching out to them. I don't care about answering them. So I want them to know that it's coming from a place of love. And if we're honest, probably a little bit of overthinking as well. So in those situations, I do what is most natural for me, which is to be really honest. Sometimes I reach out to someone just to be like, hey, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but I've just been thinking about you, and I miss you, and I think you're cool, and I just hope you're doing really well. It can be as simple as that. Or if it's someone who you had to think about a reply or answering their question. This happened to me just a few weeks ago. And I reached out saying, look, I'm sorry, I know it took me way too long to respond to you, but I just had to give it a lot of thought, and you're someone that means a lot to me, so I wanted to make sure I was responding and answering this appropriately, and I just didn't really have the right words in the moment. And most of the time, the people that love you are going to understand. People are going to know that you really wanted to put your best foot forward, so that's why there was this pause, and maybe it took you a little bit longer to get around to answering than you would have liked. The second common time that I experience some anxiety is when you have to tell someone something that you don't really want to tell them, or you're worried about how they're going to react. I hate to admit it, but this also just happened to me about a week ago. And it was something that I knew I had to tell someone, and I really didn't want to tell them, or I did want to tell them, but I wanted to wait a little bit longer. And they reached out to me and started a conversation, and I'm like, okay, well, now it'd be really awkward if I didn't tell them the thing. So I think sometimes this happens if we have a big life event or something that has changed in our lives that perhaps isn't changing in their life, or is just really good news when someone that you know and love is going through something really difficult. And either of these times, sometimes it's hard to share good news, or you feel almost guilty about sharing good news when someone else may be suffering or struggling in something of their own. So whether it's moving or a big promotion and big life events that are happening, you shouldn't be afraid to share them with the people that you love. And it might be difficult. It might be hard for them to hear. But the people that love you are going to be happy for you. The people that love you, regardless of what they're going through, are going to want to hear your good news. And actually, sometimes your good news is going to give them hope. It's going to be the little bright spark in their day when they've just like been really consumed in themselves and feeling bad. Sometimes good news from someone else is good news for them too. So don't be afraid to share. So again, in these first two examples, make sure that you're leading with love, kindness, and honesty. Honesty, in my opinion, is always the best policy. This is where I try to lead all the time. Also, if you know me at all, you know I'm the world's worst liar. So honesty is always the game that I bring to the table. And finally, number 3, being the new person or the only person in the room that doesn't know anybody. I hate this. And you might be shocked to hear that, especially for someone that knows me really well, because you know that I love getting to know people, but I really don't like being the only person that doesn't know anybody, because then I feel like, okay, everybody already has their friend groups. Now I have to like weasel my way in. And not only does it give me anxiety, but it also drains all of this energy out of me. Because as an extrovert, I take this meeting new people thing like it's a challenge. Like, okay, I'm going to meet everybody. I'm going to make everybody my best friend, and this is going to be awesome. So instead of looking at it like it's this big challenge and I have to talk to everybody and I have to make all the friends, I look at it as an opportunity. And I'm like, okay, I can talk to all these new people. And think about the times in the past where you've been the new person and you've wound up making really positive friendships from it. And I know that I'm someone that's done it a decent amount in my life. So I changed schools in middle school. Then I've changed states twice in the past like 5-ish years. So I'm fairly used to being the new person in an environment, but it doesn't get that much easier. It's always difficult to meet new people, meet new faces, and then names are something that are really important to me. So I like to remember people's names, and then I feel all guilty if I don't. So I like to try to change my mindset to be like, okay, this is an opportunity to meet new people. You are going to try your very, very best to remember their name. And if you don't, it's going to be okay. They're probably going to forgive you. And then you're going to want to make sure that you are getting to know them on a personal level. You want to ask questions that are engaging. So don't ask about something generic like, oh, what do you do for work? Try not to talk about the weather and basic boring things that everyone seems to talk about to just take up space and waste time. One of the things that I like to do is have a few questions in your back pocket that you can pull out to generate conversations. So I'm going to share my top 3 with you. The first one is super easy if you're the new person, because it's just asking them about how long have you been here? How long have you been in the area? What brings you here? What are cool things to do around the area? And what I've noticed is, especially in the South, not only will they be delighted to answer this question, but they're going to tell you all about how long everybody else in the area has been in the area and their families and all this and that. So you're going to get even more information than you bargained for, but it's going to spark a really fun conversation. The second thing to ask about is always family. People love to talk about their family. So the easiest thing that most people start with is, do you have any kids? Or how many kids do you have? And this might be a harder question for you if you don't want to ask someone about their kids, especially if you don't have kids, and then that might be awkward. So if you don't want to ask about kids specifically, that's okay. You can just ask, do you have family in the area? But getting people to talk about their family always is bound to spark something fun. And the other thing I'm learning about the South is when you ask someone about their family in the area, the answer is usually yes, they have family in the area and they've been here for generations. And a lot of people here are related and they know everybody. So it's a lot of fun to see just how like big the group and the impact and the community goes. And then finally, number 3 is around goals. I feel like most people don't ask people about their goals, but it's good to ask either about a personal goal or a goal related to where it is that you're meeting. So what are your personal goals for the year? Do you know the goals for this organization? So if it's some type of group that you're joining, what are the goals? What's the mission statement? What are we here to do? And then what role do you play in that? Because people are going to want to know that, okay, well, this is my community, these are the goals for my community, and this is the part that I play. People like to take ownership and have you understand what makes them important to that team. And then finally, after you're done having an awesome conversation, you want to solidify the connection. And what I mean by that is you want to find a place that you can connect to them, usually on social media. So what I like to do is if it's in a professional setting, I always try to connect on LinkedIn. And if it's a more social setting, I'll ask to connect on either Facebook or Instagram. So this does two things. It allows you to be able to actually connect to that person outside of the very specific event that you met in. And the next time that you see that person, or if you're planning on seeing them again, or if you know that you might run into them in the future, you're going to go into your recent friends or connections and you're going to look at their name. This is going to help you remember their name and then use their name the next time you see them. And this is going to mean so much to them. Using people's names is a guaranteed way to make them feel valuable and make it seem like you really care and that conversation meant something to you. So those are my secret tips for overcoming social anxiety and building connections with people around you, even if you are the new and semi-awkward new person. If this has been helpful, please share it with your friends and family, especially people that are going through transitions where they're going to be the new person. People who have a little bit of trouble texting people back or sharing the news that they want to share. But anyone who has even just a touch of social anxiety, they might find this useful because everyone has it. We all struggle with it at some point in some way or another. So I hope this serves you and the community that you belong to.
Thank you for the precious gift of your time. If you found this helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone you love. Until next time, count your blessings, love yourself, and stay fabulous.